皆さん、おはようございます。
Good morning. I'd like to now begin International Symposium, Sustainable Blue Economies, Challenges and Future Perspectives for Palau, commemorating the visit by His Excellency President of Palau. This program is also distributed by live streaming through YouTube. And also, we are distributing the video with captions, so please access through the link that appears on the screen. The OPRI has been also promoting sustainable blue economy, which is the topic of major international interest, and at the time of the One Ocean Conference in April in Palau, as well as at the time of the second UN Ocean Conference that took place in late June, the importance of blue economy was revisited and reconfirmed. Reflecting such an international trend, we have decided to host this international symposium in commemoration of the visit by His Excellency President Whips of Palau, who is a leader of the Pacific Island nations and driving the movement toward blue economy, and hope that this is going to be the opportunity to deepen understanding about blue economy. Before opening, I'd like to invite Mr. Atsushi Tsunami, or Dr. Tsunami, the president of OPRI, the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, rather. Good morning. On this occasion of the international conference, Sustainable Blue Economies, Challenges and Future Perspectives for Palau, we are very much delighted to welcome President the Whips and his delegation. Ever since he assumed the post as the president in January 2021, this is the first visit to Japan, and we had a pleasure of having a meeting with him yesterday as well. Also, we have a pleasure of having the presence of the parliamentary Vice Minister Masatoshi Akimoto of Foreign Affairs, the Goodwill Ambassador Minako Tanaka as well. I understand that the President has an appointment with Prime Minister Kishida, therefore we have to make this the symposium rather compact. Therefore, on my part, I'd like to only express that we welcome you wholeheartedly and hope that this is going to be the opportunity to strengthen the bond between two countries, and for promotion of blue economy, reflecting changes in international community with great expectation and hope that we can move forward with this the development. Thank you very much.
以上、須波理事長よりご挨拶申し上げました。続きまして、日本政府を代表いたしまして、秋本真利外務大臣政務官よりご挨拶を頂戴したいと思います。秋本様、よろしくお願いいたします。
外務大臣政務官の秋元。
My name is Masatoshi Akimoto, Parliamentary Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs. Thank you very much indeed for today's invitation. It is my great honor and pleasure today to discuss the challenges and the perspectives for blue economy in Palau, together with His Excellency Mr. Wicks Jr. and honorable ministers and the members of the OEK. For many years, we have benefited from the richness of the sea and the prosperity, and it is essential for us, for all countries in the world, to work in solidarity on climate change and the environmental, the marine conservation, to maintain this into the future. The successful 7th Hour Ocean Conference was of the great significance in giving the momentum to these efforts, and I'd like to express my respect to President Whips and the people of Palau. And OPRI and open and sustainable ocean based on the rule of law is essential for peace and stability of the Pacific Islands and the prerequisite for the economy. And we have been working for free and open Indo-Pacific, organizing, for example, a PALM, Pacific and Island Leaders Meeting every 3 years, and PALM 9, participated by President Wilkes, had substantial discussions on cooperation in climate change and the ocean area. And the PALM 9 expressed Japan's commitment. For example, recently decided the power distribution development network development in Palau aims to ensure stable power supply and prepare Palau for the introduction of renewable energy. And I hope that this will help the Palau meet the goal of raising sustainable energy to 45% in total power generated in the country by 2025. And the Nippon Foundation and the SPF have been supporting Palau for ocean security. And the Japan Coast Guard in May this year provided capacity development support, and the Maritime Self-Defense Force destroyer Kirisame had the Goodwill training with the Palau's patrol vessels in communication and information exchange. This kind of cooperation will continue. And as to Alps treated water release into the ocean, Japan will continue to provide information based on scientific evidence on the safety of the treated water and the situation of the TEPCO's Fukushima Daiichi Power Station with high transparency. The Palau's government in April announced the Blue Prosperity Plan for the protection and the sustainable use of maritime resources, and the PIF announced the 2025 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent for a political, economic, and social vision, and its guidelines realizing it. And Japan will continue to keep steps with these plans and strategies and the cooperation with the private sector to work for the blue economy of Palau, very important friends of Japan. Thank you very much.
Next, I should like to invite Ms. Minako Tanaka, who is the Goodwill Ambassador to Palau. Now over to you. Good morning. Let me introduce myself. I am Minako Tanaka, actress, and I am a Goodwill Ambassador to Palau. On this occasion, to commemorate the visit by His Excellency President Snagil Whips Jr. of Palau and his delegation visiting Japan, I'm very much delighted to be part of this international symposium to the President Whips, Mrs. Evelyn, ministers, members of the Congress, as well as the government, the officials. Welcome to Japan. I visited Palau for the first time 30 years ago to shoot pictures for photographic album, and I was attracted so much so by the warm heart of Palau people, the comfortable climate, the blue sky, and the seven-color sea. Ever since, I often visited Palau for diving and other purposes. I want to be the bridge between Japan and Palau, so that the more Japanese people would come to realize how charming and attractive Palau is. As a Goodwill Ambassador, I sincerely hope that the relationship and friendship between Japan and Palau would be further deepened under leadership by President Whips, and also hope for the success of today's symposium. Thank you very much.
Ms. Tanaka, thank you very much for your very heartwarming message. Now I'd like to invite the next speaker on video, Midori Oka, the cultural, also the Goodwill Ambassador for the Republic of Palau. Hello, everyone. My name is Midori Oka, anchor singer. I am a cultural and music Goodwill ambassador for the Republic of Palau. I'd like to celebrate His Excellency President Srangel's whip's the visit to Japan. And I also had the honor of having the concert in Palau commemorating the 25th anniversary of the formal diplomatic relations with Palau and Japan. I was warmly welcomed by people of Palau, and I was deeply moved by the pristine, beautiful blue ocean of Palau where I dived. And I look forward to meeting and singing in front of you again. And I hope that your visit to Japan will be fruitful, and I hope to continue to be of help to Palau. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again.
So that was a message by the singer Midori Oka. Now we have a pleasure of inviting President Slango Whips Jr. To the podium. If you have any questions to his presentation, please send them by 11 o'clock through the link that appears on the bottom of the screen. Now over to you.
Good morning. Wiltu tau. Ohayo gozaimasu. Distinguished colleagues and dear friends, I would like to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for this opportunity to address in person at this international symposium. Sustainable Blue Economies, Challenges and Future Perspectives for Palau. We have developed a tremendous partnership with the Nippon Foundation and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, particularly through the Ocean Policy Research Institute over the past years, and I applaud their engagement and support to our Ocean Conference that Palau hosted in April. And I am very pleased to see such a wonderful conference room at the Sasakawa Peace Foundation building here in the middle of Tokyo. Once again, I thank Dr. Atsushi Tsunami for inviting me to speak here. I would also like to thank the government of Japan for its support to Palau. And I am grateful that Masatoshi Akimoto, Parliamentary Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, for his warm welcome and affirmation of continued partnership with my country, Palau. It is indeed very lovely to see Ms. Minako Tanaka, our Goodwill Ambassador of Japan, and I thank you for your kind words and look forward to welcoming you back to Palau. I appreciate Ms. Midori Oka for her kind video message as well. And thank you, and this is a great network that has flourished in recent years to reinforce the strong partnership between Palau and Japan. Of course, this is my first visit to Japan as President of the Republic of Palau. I assumed office in January of 2021, and travel to visit has been difficult due to the pandemic and the lack of direct flights. I arrived in Japan 2 days ago on Wednesday, September 7th, and I am so pleased to be here in Japan. That was the first day that visitors to Japan were no longer required to take PCR tests before getting on board the flights. And I really hope that this easing of the border of Japan will make it easier for the people of Japan to visit Palau. I will meet Prime Minister Kishida in his cabinet office today. And I just want to say that we've been so fortunate to have been welcoming Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi in Palau in May of this year, and also former Minister of the Defense, Makoto Inoki, last month. Onoki. I intend to reiterate to the Prime Minister Kishida that Palau continues to play a vital role to ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific, and looks forward to cooperating with partner countries. I came to Japan this time with 4 cabinet ministers, namely Minister of State, Gustav Aitaro, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Environment, Stephen Victor, Minister of Public Infrastructure Industries, Charles Obiang, and Minister Ngirai Belas Matul of Human Resources, Culture, Tourism, and Development. They were engaged in healthy discussions and leaders this week, and hoping to reignite the tourism sector. I would like to underline that our delegation is also, we are also grateful that 4 members of our Palau National Congress were able to join us. We have Senator Cecilio Aldebel, who is the floor leader of our Senate, joining us. Delegate Warren Umetaro, who is from the House of Delegates, who is represents chairman of the Tourism Committee. We have Senator Fleming Sangabao, who is chairman of the Environment and Tourism Committee. We also have Delegate Mongur Alul, who is chairman of our Ways and Means Committee. And we are just privileged to have them joining us as part of this delegation today. I am informed that when they arrived last Monday, they had very robust and healthy discussions with various Japanese stakeholders and airlines about reigniting our tourism sector. In 2018, direct travel from Japan to Palau was discontinued by a U.S. air carrier. To revitalize our tourism, particularly we need to mobilize tourists from Japan. I believe that the resumption of direct flight service between Palau and Japan is urgently needed. Traveling here really took almost an entire day. We left Palau at 12 a.m. and by the time we got here it was 4 in the afternoon. Guam is a barrier to the Japanese tourism market. Our partnership thrives on person-to-person engagement and cultural exchanges, and direct flights are a necessary ingredient to our partnership. We are consolidating our efforts to encourage Japanese carriers to resume these direct flight services for the benefits of both Palau and Japan. Palau has been a long-time champion of the ocean. I myself had the opportunity to co-chair the high-level panel for sustainable ocean economy, or the ocean panel launched an initiative with the governor of Norway. And when I was in Glasgow last November to attend the UN climate change conference and met with global leaders who are members of the ocean panel, Prime Minister Kishida, who is also a member of the ocean panel, Palau and Japan, as well as other members of the panel, have taken a strong stand to lead and promote sustainable blue economies to facilitate regional cooperation and international partnership. To address ocean conservation and sustainable blue economies, Palau hosted the Our Ocean Conference last April. It was a great success having high-level representatives from 70 countries around the world and over 150 non-governmental organizations. We had a very rich and intensive discussions on the priority of ocean policy issues, such as the ocean climate nexus, marine protected areas, blue economies, sustainable fisheries, maritime security, and marine pollution control. During that conference, more than 410 commitments were mobilized, and over $16 billion in commitments were made. I want to reiterate, especially, our appreciation to the government of Japan for supporting the organization of the conference and recognize the contributions of Chairman Sasakawa, the Nippon Foundation, Dr. Atsushi Tsunami, President of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, and Dr. Ide Saguchi, President of the Ocean Policy Research Institute of the Sasakawa Foundation, for their generous and dedicated support to us in preparing for the conference and ensuring its great success. Prior to that meeting, we were able to hold the Pacific Island Blue Economy Roundtable meeting. The Pacific Island leaders underlined their continued difficulties and challenges in promoting blue economies and fostering socio-economic recoveries from the conditions hit by the pandemic. They said that to capitalize on our potential of promoting blue economies in the Pacific countries, we need to work with our partners by promoting sustainable fisheries, aquaculture, tourism, and renewable energies to make our country and economy sustainable with the sustainable better use of our ocean and marine resources. I have presented the highlight of our Oceans Conference outcomes and achievements at the UN Ocean Conference that was held in Lisbon, Portugal, last June. I am proud that Palau is internationally known as a progressive country in conserving the marine environment and its resources. In 2015, we established the Palau Marine Sanctuary, which established 80% of our EEZ as a no-take zone and reserving only 20% for domestic fishing. This was an outsized commitment for our small island nation, and we carried the burden on behalf of our region and the Pacific to conserve our oceans. Several of our other Pacific island nations have chosen to create marine protected areas within their jurisdictions, but at least 10 Pacific island nations have marine protected areas that are less than 1% of their ocean under national jurisdiction. Palau supports all nations joining the 30-30 initiative to conserve at least 30% of our oceans, and we further support 100% sustainable management of the marine resources for the benefit of the people of the planet. Regional adoption of this method will reduce the strain of overachieving nations like Palau and allow us to paddle in unison toward a sustainable future. Without greater cooperation, Palau does not realize the benefits of its marine resources. We used to export tuna by air from Palau to Guam and other destinations, and an export tax was another important revenue. This is currently discontinued due to the stagnant fish catch and reduced airline services. We have to balance conservation and sustainable use of our fishery resources. We have to work with other neighboring countries, operating under regional frameworks like the parties of the Nauru Agreement, which regulates regional fishing activities. Fishery and seafood sector development need to be explored with due attention to airline services. In this, Palau and Japan are united to create mutually beneficial programs that complements Palau's sustainable management philosophy. Aquaculture is another important sector that supports sustainable blue economies. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, and the Japan Overseas Fishery Cooperation Foundation, OFCF, have been supporting the operation of the Mariculture Demonstration Center in Palau, where giant clam farming has been experimented. Giant clams, as you know, can grow as large as the size of the palm of my hand in 3 or 4 years. The giant clam meat can be served like raw sashimi or baked with butter for food. It is now a popular item also for exhibition in fish tanks, as some giant clams have beautiful rainbow colors. However, the market is still limited, and we are interested in diversifying the species of aquaculture to revitalize our aquaculture and seafood sectors. I encourage even greater collaboration to learn from experiences in aquaculture in Japan and explore additional aquaculture activities with the assistance and expertise provided by Japanese partners. I mentioned earlier that direct flights between Japan and Palau are vital to mobilize the Japanese tourism market. Palau's attractions can vary from diving, snorkeling, sports fishing, yacht cruising, sea kayaking, and historical land tours, and so many others. I would like to see the creation and strengthening of networks that involve tour agents, dive shops, yacht and sea kayak associations in Japan that have potential for stimulating greater tourism from Japan to visit Palau. While Palau is known to some passionate divers and fishermen, we need to communicate more to those who enjoy blue tourism. Palau is geographically close, so close to Japan, but we have a pristine and distinct marine biodiversity, ecosystems, geological attractions, war wrecks, and cultural attractions that would be of great interest to the people of Japan. The networks to instigate a blue economy in Palau with Japanese tourists needs to be strengthened. Palau's islands are a close 45-minute boat ride, more than a day's travel by sea. More than a day's travel by sea. The most remote islands, called the Southwest Islands, or Sonsorol and Hatobe, have a unique biodiversity and culture that should be integrated into our security and tourism infrastructure. There is now a call for a boat that can commute to the main city of Palau, called Koror, and those islands which are more than 380 miles from Koror. This is vital for providing healthcare, education, financial services, but also opens the opportunities that tourists would be able to visit these islands. Having the people's physical presence there is so vital to the security of those areas in preventing illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. And for these reasons, establishing regular marine transit to these Southwest Islands is an initiative that I encourage us to explore together. At the UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon, I announced a number of policy commitments. One of them was to ensure that 100% renewable energy by 2032 in Palau, to increase Palau's resilience in the face of worsening natural disasters caused by climate change. In the last decade, well, first of all, I want to take this opportunity and thank Japan with the signing of the grant assistance for the power upgrade system, because this helps us in our yesterday in our strategy to meet 100% renewables by 2032. In the last decade alone, Palau has experienced typhoons, droughts, king tides, and coastal erosion. One of Palau's most famous wonders, Jellyfish Lake, experienced temporary loss of all jellyfish during the drought of 2016 and 2017. Consequently, Koror lost revenue from the sales of visitors' permits. We are not immune to climate change and devastation, and we must be united in our call for industrialized countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and support developing countries, particularly small island developing states, in their climate change mitigation and adaptation efforts. Palau intends to also do its part to tackle climate change. We are still dependent on fossil fuels. In fact, we are fossil fuel hostages, as we have seen in this past year, because we import so much oil from overseas. Now that the oil price is spiking, which really should spur our transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources. We support the Japanese Environment Ministry under the Joint Credit Mechanism, the JCM. We have introduced solar panels in different locations. However, they are still sporadic and not sufficient to achieve the 100% renewables. We need to further convert road transport to electric vehicles is one suggested formula. Connecting solar panels with batteries to charge electric vehicles and electric motorboats is another idea. Palau is also interested in exploring green hydrogen and looking into wave and tidal power generation. We would like to further develop the partnership with Japanese organizations, companies, and experts to pursue Palau's policy goal of 100% renewable by 2032. Another great challenge that we have is waste management. We have an excellent recycling center in Koror, and Japanese expert Mr. Katsuo Fuji has been supporting the center that collects used PET bottles and aluminum cans and compresses them for export and fuel. The center also converts plastic waste into fuel and the glass into artwork using discarded bottles. The center produces organic fertilizers from tree branches and pruning waste. However, in other islands, there is no such recycling centers, and we haven't fully developed a national network of recycling materials. Our Koror experience presents a prototype for other island countries to follow. Such actions certainly help in the work to address the issue of marine plastics pollution. We would like to further explore our partnership with Japan to enhance and replicate integrated waste management for building a circular economy and eliminating marine plastics. There are so many ideas in which partnership with Japan will have a great merit. To materialize such ideas, we need to develop our own capacity to design, develop, implement, monitor, and manage projects. Technical assistance is useful. Research and field experimentation supported by the OPRI and SPF would be beneficial. We welcomed 7 Japanese students who joined by 15 students and young professionals from other countries at our ocean conference. OPRI and SPF sponsored those 15 students to come to Palau from around the world, while the Asian Development Bank also sponsored 7 of those students. Such a youth exchange on a regular basis would be very helpful to support the human resource development in Palau. I hope that we can develop programs that can help our capacity development and stakeholder and youth empowerment. We welcome anyone with compassion and ideas to come to Palau and interact with the people of Palau in order to facilitate efforts to achieve a sustainable ocean, society, and world. Thank you for this opportunity to share more about our home, a pristine island nation with world-renowned natural beauty and a hospitable people and culture. We look forward to welcoming you in Palau and building an even stronger partnership. Kopman masulang and arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you for your kind attention.
Whips 大統領よりブルーエコノミーに関するパラオ
Thank you very much, President Whips, for sharing with us various initiatives on a blue economy in Palau as well as future perspectives. Now, based upon his keynote presentation, I should like to now call upon the members of Palau delegation. Masanori Kobayashi of OPRI is going to be the moderator. Please send your questions if there are any by 11 o'clock and hope that we can answer those questions as long as time allows. Now over to you, Mr. Kobayashi.
皆さんおはようございます。
Good morning. Microphone is off. His microphone is off.
So I'd like to thank President Senator Whips Jr. for very eloquent and inspiring keynote presentations. And I have a pleasure to have so many wonderful distinguished panelists for these panel discussions. I briefly pose questions to follow up to the keynote lecture by President Whips. I have developed one question to President Whips. I understand that this COVID-19 pandemic have adversely affected Palau. And I think yesterday you were referring to kind of population movement and the demographic changes in Palau that may have a long-term future socioeconomic implications to Palau. Can you elaborate a bit more and maybe good to listen to your policy directions on this point? President, please.
Thank you, Mr. Masunori. First of all, COVID has devastated Palau. It's destroyed our economy, put the country into debt, and most importantly, provided a lack of opportunities for our young people. On our flight from Palau the other day, I saw 8 families moving to America because they can no longer take care of their families in Palau. In fact, we've seen this trend over the last 25 years that 40% of our population has moved to America. So one of our most important strategies is how do we diversify our economy? How do we build an economy that provides opportunity for our young people, provides them hope? And when we talk about sustainable blue economies, it has to be about using and optimizing the use of our fisheries, but at the same time, diversifying our tourism sector and strengthening it. And we are also looking at ways that we can look into other areas like the financial sector and be able to develop new industries to take advantage of the technologies that are around the world. There is no doubt that the biggest challenge that we have in Palau is providing hope and opportunity for our children. You know, one of the other challenges that we have is this past year we've had 5 young men who have taken their lives, and that's a tragedy. And over the last 10 years, this trend has continued to grow, but it's providing hope and opportunity for a better future for our children, which is so important. So thank you, and we look forward to working with the people and the government of Japan and OPRI and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, Nippon Foundation, on finding ways to improve the lives of our people. Thank you.
Thank you, President Whips. Definitely, it's very important to give positive and prosperous perspectives for the youth and the young people so that the Palau can continue to flourish and achieve prosperity. Let me now turn to State Minister Gustav Aitaro. Vice Minister Akimoto referred to this Pacific Island Forum that took place last July, and it was good news that 5 Micronesian countries have indicated the possible return to the Pacific Island Forum. I just wondered if you can update the latest status of this Pacific Island Forum and the regional cooperation perspectives as you spearhead Palau's diplomacy at the regional and international level. Minister Aitaro, please.
Thank you for the question, Masanori-san. The latest update, as everybody here is aware, that in July, we all signed into the agreement, to continue the regionalism, harmonization, cooperation, and partnership between all Pacific Island countries of the Pacific Forum. And that's the latest update, and we continue to uphold the regional cooperation between members of the PIF. And we will uphold our positions in both the region and as well as the international forum. That is the latest update we have. And if any further questions, I'm open to answer.
Thank you. So Pacific Ocean, definitely corrective actions by the Pacific Island countries very much needed. And for that, I understand that the Pacific Ocean Commissioner will continue to play a role for facilitating concerted actions to achieve a sustainable ocean in the Pacific. So we also closely watch and follow the deliberation of the Pacific Island Forum and look forward to Palau playing a pivotal role in that respect as well. May I now return to Agriculture, Fishery and Environment Minister Stephen Victor. President Whips also mentioned this 30% target at Palau has already achieved 100% management of a sustainable ocean in Palau. One question is that whether this MPA approach is effective in terms of managing fish stock. It's probably effective for marine ecosystem, and this MPA approach is definitely effective for the coastal marine environment. But when we try to protect the fish stocks, some argue that maybe fish catch control may be more effective than the marine protected area approach. So I just wondered if you can shed any light on such a discussions regarding whether and how this MPA approach and the fish catch control approach can be effective for marine ecosystem conservation and the fish stock conservation and sustainable use. Minister Victor, please.
Thank you, Masanori-san, for a very important question relating to the ocean, which is one of the largest resource that Palau has and the world has. Our ocean is facing unprecedented threats from human activities and from climate change. Every effort is needed to manage ocean in a sustainable way, and as President Whips mentioned, Palau is embarking on a process to achieve 100% management of our ocean in Palau, and we hope that this can translate to the Micronesia sub-region as well as the Pacific and other large ocean state. Marine protected areas is just one of the tools in the toolbox for managing the ocean, and it needs to be used in an appropriate way to address the very threat that we are trying to face. There are many threats to the ocean. Fishing is just one of those, and as you've mentioned, harvest control is much more effective in addressing impact from fishing. But fisheries depends on a healthy ocean, and marine protected areas, when used appropriately to address a specific threat, let's say mining or deep bottom trawling, can have a positive impact to fishery. And therefore, it's a question that is best addressed at the national level in terms of what a country is trying to achieve with regards to their oceans. At the global level, we know that the high sea account for 60% of the ocean, but is not managed. And perhaps a marine protected area is a more appropriate tool at the high seas, whereby harvest control rules are more appropriate at the national level. So these are questions that are best addressed through stakeholder engagement and through a more robust science that can help inform how we do a planning process. For example, Palau will be going through a marine spatial planning to help answer these questions, and we hope that the expertise at the Ocean Policy Research Institute, as well as the expertise of the Japanese fishermen who have traversed the ocean, can be brought to bear to help Palau engage in that discussion, and hopefully that what Palau can achieve can be a part of a solution to the global ocean issues that we face from unprecedented human activities, which is really about addressing the socio-economic needs of people who depend on the ocean. So how do we ensure that we are balancing protection and production, and so that it achieves long-term social benefit and economic benefit to the people who are stewards of the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Bigster. Indeed, it's very important to optimizing the conservation and the sustainable use of marine resources, and we definitely would like to support the science and evidence-based studies and discussions, policy dialogues, in order to support Palau's policy development and implementations in this respect. I would like to now turn to Minister Obiang, Minister for Public Infrastructure, Industry and Commerce. President Whips also mentioned this renewable energy target by the year 2032. And for that, the solar panel and other energy-related infrastructure development is a vital area. And I presume that not only the public investment, but also private investment, business partnership would be vital. How do you see, Minister Obiang, this partnership between public and private in order to facilitate infrastructure development to allow Palau to make transitions from fossil-based economy to renewable energy-based economy? Minister Obiang.
Thank you, Mr. Norisa, for the question. I think the most important question for the panels today. President Whips mentioned and thanked JICA and government of Japan for the signing of a GA yesterday. That project will not only install new lines, transmission lines, and utility poles, it also upgrade and prepare our grid system for renewable energy integration into our system. Right now, we have a project in the process for a 16 megawatt renewable energy, a solar system. We also have our own National Development Bank giving out assistance in form of a loan that have a very very low interest for individual homes, installation of solar panel to individual homes. And President Whips also thanked government of Japan and mentioned the joint crediting mechanism. That's right now mainly working with, in cooperation with our private sectors, mainly department stores, big stores like WCTC and Surangala company have also involved in that project in installing solar panels. Private sectors also, it also helps PPR, one of the biggest hotel in Palau. So we have arrangement from government partnership with other countries and also our own effort to speed up our use of renewable energy by the mandate from our president is 2032. For the vessels, we have to work with international organizations like IMO to address the cargo ships and other big vessels that visit Palau. And also a part of that is we have to work locally to address the small vessels that services local business in Palau, mainly tourism industry in Palau. So you can see there are efforts underway. I think one of the most successful is PPP with private sectors, investors, and countries. We have done that and proved it to work with our associates and JATCO and join companies in Japan for the airport project, which we had successfully opened up the new terminal building in May, I believe. So those are the projects underway, and we are trying very hard to meet our goals on 2032.
Thank you. This new terminal, airport terminal renovation is one of the very notable infrastructure improvement to encourage the tourism. But I also see your integrated approach to promote the decarbonization in land and maritime transport. And we really look forward to seeing such a movement and hope to be a part of coalition to support such undertaking. Now I'd like to invite Human Resource, Culture, Tourism and Development Minister Nirabras Mechel to touch upon human resource development component, as President Whips mentioned, that the youth indeed carry a very important role in promoting a sustainable future in Palau, Pacific, and the world. And we, our Ocean Policy Research Institute, had the privilege of working with you to support the youth program at our Ocean Conference last April that I believe are quite success with your leadership and initiative. May I invite Minister Nirabras Mechel to touch upon this human resource development and a role that the Palau can play in this respect.
Well, thank you and good morning, Mr. Kobayashi. A very good question. Let me first thank the Nippon Foundation and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation for their support during the Oceans Conference. It was very welcomed, and it was a big part of the success of that conference. We're currently updating our youth policy, and in doing that, we are looking at many aspects. We're trying to actually try and connect and use a holistic approach to look at every facet of our community. And making sure that the national government works with our state governments and goes all the way down to each of the individualized community-based organizations, especially the most vulnerable, the women. In developing that, we are putting a concrete action plan together, which will set out specific actions on monitoring, evaluation, and reporting frameworks, which will have indicators and monitoring processes. So for example, we'd like to look at data a database system where we know what the issues are in the youth and try and figure out how we can improve over the years. A big part of this process will have to involve, we feel that there's been a disconnect between the youth and the international community. So our issues we find are also relevant and are actually youth throughout our region and the international community. When we learned from the Oceans Conference, we're similar. There's a lot of similarities there. But we find that there isn't a network internationally or regionally that can address these issues. And so part of the planning process will engage with your organization and try and figure out how. For example, in tourism, we have PATA. And so there's a international mechanism and there's sub-regional organizations like PATA Micronesia that deals with tourism related issues. There is no mechanism like that in youth. And I feel that something has to be done where the youth voice can be heard, not only in these ocean conferences, but throughout the region as well as internationally. So I think with partnerships that as President has been mentioning, we need partnerships with Nippon Foundation, with Sasakawa Peace Foundation to initiate sort of a regional network and then maybe lead that into an international organization. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Minister Mitchell, underlining the importance of developing partnership to support the regional youth development, young professional human resource development for the benefit of Palau and the Pacific Island countries. We also look forward to taking part in such an initiative as well. I'd like to now turn to Senator Sergio Edebel. One question we have is that for the blue economy that President Whips mentioned, one issue is how we can really ensure the benefit sharing, like all the stakeholders can be benefit from the promotion of sustainable blue economies. And like local fishermen, local communities, they sometimes get left out from the globalized economy. But for the blue economy, particularly in the Palau, how do you see the kind of key factors in your views regarding the promotion of proper benefit sharing of sustainable blue economies? Senator Edebel, please.
Well, thank you for the question. I think that's a very important question to ask. And from my own perspective, I believe Palau is a small island state, but rather a large ocean state as well. Our goal really is to how best maximize the benefits that we can reap out of our blue ocean resources. And I'm quite pleased that our president has taken on the initiative to expand our efforts to develop what we call 100% managed of our ocean resources with a view to expanded benefits and to ensure that the local stakeholders will eventually benefit the most from these resources. And so from the policy standpoint, I believe some of the important aspects of our initiatives will be to focus on capacity development. Definitely Palau being a small state, we have limited human resources. We have limited expertise in large-scale fisheries, large-scale tourism activities. And so therefore, I believe our emphasis should be how to engage local stakeholders in partnership, of course, with our friends from other countries who has gone through these kind of industries, and they have more expertise and more technologies that can be utilized to maximize the benefits. Of course, the market connectivity is an important aspect that I believe from the policy standpoint, we need to work closely with the executive branch in their recommendations on how best we can develop partnership with our partner countries and allies. Financing is also a big challenge. We need to find ways in which we can connect business sectors with the financing, bankings, and other financing products that again support activities of tourism, fisheries, and of course aquaculture. Information sharing and technology sharing, I believe that's important aspects in which Palau's local stakeholders still very much lacking in these areas. And so I believe with a well thought out joint ventures and business partnership, I believe we can achieve our challenges of making sure that local stakeholders will also benefit equally and equitably from this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator DeBell. And I'd like to now invite Delegate Warren Umetaro to mention briefly about blue financing. I think this was also an important factor, and how the Palau Parliament, for instance, can ensure that financing will be sustainable and environmentally sound, socially equitable, and economically viable by promoting a proper environmental and socio-economic safeguarding. I may invite Delegate Umetaro to comment on this.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Masanori-san. Let me begin by sharing that the National Constitution of the Republic of Palau mandates the conservation of a beautiful, healthful, and resourceful national environment aimed at the promotion of a national economy. So it is my perspective that this blue economy vision fits well in this national constitutional mandate which the Palau National Congress, in formulating legislation and policy, is bound by. First, as you mentioned earlier, to safeguard our resources and to promote the national economy in the best interest of the Palauan people. And so therefore, in formulating policy decisions, we are currently mindful of the executive branch's initiatives on its Blue Prosperity Plan, its marine spatial planning in the PNMS, all toward the sustainable, vibrant and robust economy from fisheries, tourism, and other related activities. Let me share that just recently, we had passed legislation in Congress and signed by our president into law to task the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Environment to conduct ample research in the National Marine Sanctuary for the next several years, to assure effective and balanced decision-making based on realistic marine spatial planning processes. And we have already begun to see the initial benefits from this work toward the Blue Prosperity Plan. In recent legislation, we have seen received budgetary support from the Blue Prosperity Plan for our states to utilize for the initial purposes that I mentioned earlier that are stated in our Constitution. We all share the same vision for the sustainable management of our oceans and 100% protection to both assure sustainable economic growth and food security for our people in the best interest of the Republic of Palau. President Whips has stated that a priority in our national security, a foremost priority has to be economic security based on alternative and innovative solutions as the blue economy financing, ensuring progress in the recovery from hardships of the pandemic, and sustainable growth into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Umetaro, for highlighting a number of points, including the Parliament's legislations to task the Ministry of Agriculture, Fishery and Environment to study the Palau National Marine Sanctuary Act. We look forward to learning more about the progress. May I now turn to Senator Fleming Umiichi Sengebao to mention about this marine spatial planning that was briefly mentioned. And one of the questions is how we can really ensure that decision-making on the marine spatial planning will be inclusive and deliver the outcome that can be equitable to all the stakeholders. I'm sorry that we are getting pressed by the time, so I hope you can keep your response compact. Senator Sengebao, please.
Yes, I am cognizant of the time limitation here, and thank you, Mr. Kobayashi, as my colleagues have mentioned marine spatial planning. But let me just say that I personally see the Blue Prosperity Plan as proposed by the President and the Ministry as a great opportunity for us to look at the future development of our fishery. And as you know, the marine spatial planning is a multi-stakeholder process. So it is a great platform to engage all the stakeholders, including OPRI from the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. And as a member of the Congress, we see that as a critical process. And as mentioned by my colleague Umetaro, we passed a law endorsing the President and the Ministry to commence the process of the marine spatial planning. And lastly, I would like to say that certainly I look forward to the recommendations from the process itself and in the very near future so we can act on it. So thank you, Mr. Kobayashi, for the opportunity, and I'll be happy to expand on any of the issues that I've actually mentioned as part of your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Umi Sengebao, for your elaboration on this Parliament's role in tasking the study on PNMS, Palau National Marine Sanctuary. Now I'd like to invite Delegate Menku Lechuruk to briefly mention about this waste management and marine plastic elimination issues. As President mentioned, the remote islands haven't yet developed such a circular economy type of mechanisms. How do you see the Palau promoting such an approach nationally and possibly regionally and internationally? Delegate Lechuruk.
Thank you for a very specific question. A marine plastic issue with the Republic of Palau. And Palau has a national solid waste management plan. And there's two vital points of the national solid waste management plan, where you have a landfill and then you have the recycling centers, where the landfill actually both are the receiving ends of the national solid waste management plan. And the recyclables are supposed to be eliminated from going into the environment as the landfill is supposed to receive. And so with the National Solid Waste Management Plan, it covers the whole listing of Palau, and it's a partner with the regional sectors of Palau and the Micronesia, the South Pacific, and also the globe. So with the national plan, it actually needs to extend to the remote, but we are the remote part of Palau. Because of the cost and the transportation cost to the remote part, it's limited to that aspect. But as in the Kora State Solid Waste Management Recycling Center, it is a national solid waste management center. So it's supposed to receive all recyclables from the Republic of Palau. But as you mentioned, that the remote areas such as maybe all the way to the southwest islands, where Sonsorol and Hato Bay, it's because of their distance from the Koror that gives us that challenge to bring the recyclables and actual materials to be recycled, if not deposited into the environment. So yes, the National Solid Waste Management covers the whole Republic, but it's those boundaries that needs to be explored and addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Cheruk. I see the national policy and also the challenges in terms of the island distance and the transport costs. We have received a number of questions from the audience. We have had a bit about this Palau National Marine Sanctuary Act. Now it's being studied and the outcome will come out in a few years. We also see the interest in promoting coral reef research or environmental DNA research. We hope to liaise with Minister Victor and OPRI, our colleague Dr. Tsubushi Watanabe, and I and my team members collaborating with you on this Palau's sustainable blue economy research. So we hope to interact with our audience on this point in the coming months as well. So with this, I'd like to ask President Whips to give us final remarks before you head to the Prime Minister's office. President Whips.
Well, first of all, thank you, Masanori, for facilitating this meeting. And I want to just take this opportunity and thank the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, OPRI, for hosting this forum. And I want to thank all the participants who were able to tune in virtually with us. I hope that this morning's forum has allowed you to get a greater perspective on the challenges that we face and the opportunities that are there, and how we can work together in continued partnership to promote peace and prosperity for our people and the world. So thank you. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. We're going to look forward to hopefully seeing you all in Palau.
Thank you very much, President Whips. And yes, with this big round of applause, I'd like to conclude and return the floor to our moderator. Thank you very much.
ご登壇いただいた皆さん、誠にありがとうございました。以上をもちまして、 パラオ共和国大統領来日記念国際シンポジウム持続可能なブルーエコノミーの推進に向けてパラオにおける課題と展望を終了します。毎回のご案内ですが、今回もアンケートを用意しております。本日23時59分まで開設しておりますので、画面下のリンクからぜひお寄せください。また、来週14日には第191回海洋フォーラムを開催いたします。こちらにつきましても、ぜひご参加いただけますと幸いです。本日もご覧いただき、誠にありがとうございました。